They were laughing when the cuffs snapped shut, laughing like this was just another way to kill time on a boring afternoon. The metal dug into my wrists tighter than necessary, and I remember thinking how strange it is that cruelty can sound so casual when the people doing it don't see you as a person. To them, I wasn't a man with a past or a future. I was just a body they could pin mock and walk away from. And yeah, that moment changed everything. It was late August in a town called Red Creek, Alabama, the kind of place where the heat sticks to you like guilt you can't wash off. The sun felt personal that day, heavy and relentless, pressing down on the streets until everything shimmered. I'd arrived that morning on a regional bus carrying a duffel bag and a scuffed briefcase dressed plain on purpose. Faded jeans, gray t-shirt, work boots. Nothing that said importance, nothing that asked for respect. That was the point. Officially, I wasn't supposed to be there yet. My start date as the new public safety director was still days away. But paperwork never tells you the truth about a town. People behave differently when they think no one's watching. So I came early. I wanted to see Red Creek without the handshakes, without the smiles, without the yes sir routine. I wanted to see who they were when they thought they could get away with things. I walked through the town square. Quiet, almost too quiet. Noticed a patrol car idling where it shouldn't be, engine running, 2 officers inside scrolling through a phone and laughing. I clocked the unit number without even trying. Some habits don't leave you. I stopped at a diner called Mary Lou's Grill, ordered coffee and pie. The waitress looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with age. She warned me gently to keep my head down. Said the local cops didn't like outsiders. Said the heat made them mean. When she said their names, her voice dropped like the walls might be listening. I hadn't gone 2 blocks after leaving that diner when a siren chirped behind me. Not a full blast, just a sharp little bark, the kind meant to make you jump. The cruiser rolled up close. Too close. One officer got out first, short, thick neck, face red like he lived permanently angry. The other followed slower, taller sunglasses, chewing tobacco tucked in his lip like a bad habit he was proud of. "Where you headed?" the tall one asked, not really asking. "Just walking," I said, calm hands visible. Walking where the short one pressed, stepping into my space. I told them. "Hotel on the edge of town." The tall one smirked. Said I was headed the wrong way. Called me boy like it was nothing. That word still does what it's designed to do even when you've trained yourself not to react. I asked if I was being detained. That's when the mood shifted. Hands grabbed my arm. Accusations started flying. Loitering. Suspicious behavior. Stuff so vague it could mean anything. I told them they had no probable cause. The tall one smiled and said probable cause was whatever he said it was. I remember thinking how fast this could end if I wanted it to, how easy it would be to flip the script right there. But I also knew that sometimes winning isn't about force. Sometimes it's about patience. So I turned around and put my hands behind my back. They didn't take me to the station. That's when I knew this wasn't about procedure. They drove me out past the edge of town down a service road that hadn't seen maintenance in years. An abandoned lumber yard sat there, rusted equipment weeds taller than a man. In the middle stood an old utility pole stripped bare, sun-bleached and cracked. They pulled me out, uncuffed me just long enough to force my arms around that pole, then locked my wrists together on the other side. They called it a joke, said it'd teach me respect. Took my wallet, glanced at my ID, didn't run my name, didn't look deeper. They saw what they wanted to see. The tall one took a drink of water, poured the rest into the dirt at my feet, and told me they were going to check my story, told me not to move. Then they drove off, laughing, dust filling my mouth and lungs. Time does strange things when you're tied to a pole under a southern sun. Minutes feel like hours. Sweat soaks through everything. Your thoughts get loud. Anger flares, then fades, then comes back sharper. I focused on breathing, on staying upright, on remembering every detail. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was collecting evidence. An older man drove by, later slowed when he saw me. Fear all over his face. He said he'd seen this before. Said he couldn't help much, they'd retaliate, but he gave me water from a thermos. Lukewarm, tasted like relief. Told me they usually came back at sunset. Just a game to them. said to hold on. When they finally returned, they acted bored, like they'd forgotten about me. Unlocked the cuffs, told me to leave town and never come back. Tossed my stuff into the dirt. I didn't argue, didn't threaten. I just looked at them long enough to memorize who they were. Fear hides behind arrogance if you know how to look. I walked back to my motel, every step burning. Showered, cleaned the cuts on my wrists, put on a pressed white shirt I'd packed for later, took the badge from my bag and clipped it to my belt, checked my sidearm, looked in the mirror. The guy they thought was nothing was gone. That night I made a phone call and requested an emergency staff meeting for the next morning. All personnel, mandatory. They were joking when they arrived. I could hear it. Laughing about the drifter. Feeling untouchable. I stood in the back of the room in a suit quiet. Watched their faces change when recognition hit. The tall one grabbed my arm again, panic making him stupid. Threatened me. Told me I didn't belong there. Then the mayor stepped up and introduced me. The silence that followed was loud. I walked past them like they were furniture and took the podium. Told the room exactly what happened. Showed my wrists, named names, ordered arrests. When one of them resisted, I put him on the ground myself. Calm, clean, by the book. The irony wasn't lost on anyone watching. What came after wasn't easy. Smear articles, threats, powerful people telling me I'd made a mistake, tires slashed, warnings painted in red. But the thing about people who think they own a town is they forget about the outside world. They forget about wires and warrants and federal eyes. When the truth finally hit daylight, it wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, efficient. Indictments, sentences, careers erased. Now the pole is gone. The yard is gone. The department isn't perfect, but it's honest in a way it never was. And I tell this story because it's not just about me. It's about what happens when people mistake silence for weakness, when power gets comfortable, when nobody thinks anyone's watching. So here's my question for you. If you were in my place, would you have waited? Or would you have fought back right there? And if you've seen something like this in your own town, something everyone pretends is normal, what did you do about it? Or what do you wish you had done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it.